Christmas, a time of happiness, where we all come together and sometimes, just sometimes, the weather might be perfect enough for it to snow. We all love the snow. It's fun to play in, throw snowballs, make snow angels and snowmen, but it is very cold. Birds can survive the weather with their array of feathers that trap pockets of air all around their bodies, insulating them against the harsh temperatures of the environment. But what about their ancestors, the dinosaurs? Did they ever see snow? And if so, what did they do to protect themselves against the elements? Well, let's find out. I'm your host, Alistair, and welcome to DangerVille. Welcome back. When we think of dinosaurs, we typically imagine lumbering beasts patrolling wide spans of Cretaceous terrain. But in reality, there was many different climates across the world. Over 65 million years ago, the world was very different to what we see today. Antarctica, a region which we now look at as a inhospitable, desolate, cold wasteland, was actually a lush forest in the prehistoric era, and was likely full of life. These polar and subpolar regions were more temperate than they are today, having warm summers and in the winter seasons being significantly colder with long spans of darkness like what we see in modern Antarctica, although they wouldn't reach temperatures lower than what we have to deal with in our current climate. Researchers have suggested that prehistoric Alaska, northern China and Antarctica preserve strong evidence of a climate very much like mid-North America or southern Africa's is today. Currently, in the northern regions of Alaska, mean annual temperatures average about -12 degrees Celsius versus the Cretaceous period that averaged out at about 6.3 degrees Celsius, which was too warm for the land to be constantly covered in thick snow and ice, although winters would average out at an even colder 2 degrees Celsius. But since dinosaurs were warm-blooded, their body temperature doesn't change when temperatures outside change, which means it's more than possible for species to live in these climates. Well, what animals might have inhabited these lands with such alternating climates? Well, one such dinosaur is the Cryolophosaurus, a Jurassic theropod that inhabited the lands of Antarctica 190 million years ago. As you might have guessed, its name, cryo, which is Greek for ice cold, comes from the cold temperatures it would have had to live in. Once believed to be a relative of the Dilophosaurus due to the similar skull shape and pompadour crest, it's now classified as a tetaneuron, actually an ancestor to the Spinosaurus. This explains the dip we can examine at the front of the Cryolophosaurus's jaw, which is also found on the Spinosaurus, just more pronounced after millions of years of evolution. This adapted the dinosaur to catch fish, something the Spinosaurus would be perfectly evolved for. The cryo reached lengths of 8 meters and stood at a height of 2 to 2.5 meters. Not the biggest theropod, but still much larger than any human and would have been one of the largest dinosaurs in Antarctica. Carnivores like these typically need a lot of food in order to sustain their large mass. So how did this animal survive in Jurassic Antarctica? And did it ever see snow? Fossilized evidence points to the fact that there was a diverse array of life that lived in the land, including pterosaurs, prosauropods, as well as fish, mostly herbivores that could live amongst the lush forest environments. But Cryolophosaurus was light and fast, and was an efficient hunter, and it likely lived through their predatory lives without competition, outside of other cryos. Most dinosaurs preferred the warmer climates of North America, but Cryolophosaurus clearly found Antarctica comfortable enough, which suggests it was likely covered in feathers, which helps insulate the dinosaur, which would have come in handy if it were to live there permanently. And in their winters, the dinosaurs that inhabited Antarctica likely indeed saw snow, often enough for weeks at a time. Not just snowfall though, but full-on blizzards. This would have dramatically altered the lifestyle of dinosaurs, as it may have disrupted hunting sessions, mating periods, or the ability to find water. Small mice-sized mammals have been found in the digestive tract of Cryolophosaurus, which suggests times may have been tough in terms of finding a food source. But blizzards would have been extremely rare due to the higher than average temperature of the planet, so food was abundant for the most part. But what about other regions? The northern regions of Canada and Russia both likely saw snow due to being closer to the cold polar zone of the Arctic Ocean. For a long time it was thought Russia was void of dinosaur life, but now we know this is not the case, with Psittacosaurus, Quiliscus, and Ankylosaurus, Stegosaurus, and even Allosaurus found in the region. Over in Canada, even the mighty T-Rex would have migrated, as fossils have been found in the Great White North, alongside some other dinosaurs like the duck-billed Edmontosaurus, which would have been found in Canada depending on the season, which means both may have seen snow. Just imagine the menacing T-Rex playing in the snow, something that would seem just so alien to it. T-Rex likely couldn't have made a home in these climates due to it being too cold, and since the Rex was likely mostly featherless, outside of some small patches of protofeathers, it would have been rather uncomfortable, so it would have migrated back down south to the warmer environment. In Alaska, we have a very interesting specimen, the Arctic Troodon, that lived there approximately 76 million years ago. This highly intelligent dromaeosaur has excellent vision and was most notably covered in feathers, which helped it deal with the cold winters. But the most interesting factor is that this dinosaur is larger in size than its Troodon cousins that lived in the south. While the Troodon reached lengths of 2 meters, the Alaskan Troodon was most likely double that. This is thanks to millions of years of adapting to the Arctic climate. But there's a few explanations to this, one being the growth helped it stay warmer in the colder climate, since a larger body mass requires a higher amount of energy in order to function, leading to warmer body temperature. Secondly, scientists believe phenotypic plasticity is the reason it grew in size. This is when an animal adapts to its environment depending on the predators and prey. For Troodon, it was clear there was a lack of competitors, which led to the larger size, which allowed it to become a top apex predator. Now we beg the question, if these dinosaurs adapted to live in their environment, did their colors change too? It's extremely common in nature for a species to evolve to better suit its environment, such as polar bears' white fur that allows it to blend into the snowy environment, which helps during hunting. Or closer to the dinosaur side, we see modern birds that have patterns that help it camouflage in the wooden terrain. So it's not hard to believe that the Alaskan Troodon or the Antarctic Cryolophosaurus was covered in white and brown feathers, which helped them hunt in either the woodland terrain or during snowfall. The same patterns can be found in modern birds that deal with similar climates. Thinking about dinosaurs in snowy environments is often hard. It's something we rarely even consider. But it wasn't only likely, it would have been common, especially in regions closer to the polar caps. These gigantic reptiles would have thrived in these climates with alternating seasons, and whilst it wasn't always easy, it's very clear it had its benefits, with carnivore species being sparse enough to the point competition wasn't as much of a problem as it was in warmer regions, and with less carnivores, herbivores could thrive in large herds. So to answer the question, did dinosaurs ever have a white Christmas? The answer to that is yes. Happy holidays guys, it's been quite an eventful year. We've covered the release of Godzilla vs. Kong, all while a pandemic rages through the world. It's been an honor making content for you residents, and we can't wait to see what 2022 has to offer us. We're going to take the next few days off as Jacob and I celebrate Christmas, but we'll be back next week with more content, so keep up to date on everything DangerVille by subscribing and stomping that notification button to become a resident of DangerVille today. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed this look into prehistoric Earth, because it helps us know what you want to see more of. Also, leave a comment, let us know what you'd like to see covered next. I've been Alistair, and we'll see you residents in the next one.